Welcome to another episode of Thinking Through the Word. We are in the Old Testament, working our way through the Bible book by book, one chapter for each book, studying our way through God's Word. Habakkuk chapter 2 today. The book begins here in verse 1 with Habakkuk saying, "I will take my stand at my watch post and station myself on the tower and look out to see what he will say to me and what I will answer." Habakkuk has made a complaint to the Lord. Back in chapter 1, he looked around and saw the evil in the land of Israel, and he complained to God, in essence saying, "God, you need to do something." Well, God answers that complaint with a response. And he tells Habakkuk he is raising up the Chaldeans, an evil nation, to judge Israel. Well, that leads to a second complaint from Habakkuk. God, you're too holy to use evil against your people who are less evil. God, you need to do something else. And having lodged that second complaint, that brings us now to our text where Habakkuk says, "I'll take my place at the watch post and I will look out like a guard on a tower, looking out to see who's coming. I will look out to see what he will say to me." And Habakkuk is readying himself for another round of argument with God. Well, the Lord answers, and the Lord answered me. So, like the watchman on the tower, Habakkuk sees the answer of the Lord coming. And God says, write it down, make it plain. The message comes to us in verse 4. The response of God is this: the righteous shall live by his faith. The response to Habakkuk's inability to understand God's ways is the command to trust God. It comes in the form of this declarative statement, the righteous live by faith. So in essence, if you believe what God says, you need to trust God. You need to act on your belief, and that would be the obedience before him. The righteous shall live by faith. The righteous ones believe what God has said, and they act on that belief. But what I want us to see is that living by faith can be tough, and there's a couple reasons for it. When we look back to chapter 1, we see the struggles that Habakkuk has in wrestling with what is God doing. And now we have this answer from God, and the answer is you just need to live by faith. And I think the first hardship of living by faith is that this expression can sound a bit cliche when compared to the huge issues of chapter 1. Habakkuk is watching his nation disintegrate because of their evil. And then he's hearing that God is going to destroy his nation, his economy, his society, perhaps his family. And God simply tells him, you need to live by faith. So when contrasting live by faith with the reality of real life problems, sometimes we feel that the Bible sounds cliche, that it's insufficient. Well, there's a second reason living by faith can be tough, and that is it can lack immediate results. Even when God says the vision is coming, write it down clearly, he says this in verse 3, wait for it. It will surely come. But if it seems slow, you'll have to wait. Here's our second reason. The wait can be challenging. You want God to do something now, and he's saying you'll have to live by faith because you'll have to wait. And then when we look at verses 4 and 5, we see that this expression, the righteous shall live by faith, comes in contrast to something that comes before. The righteous live by faith, but the word but sets it apart from the one whose soul is puffed up and is not upright. So the wicked are all around. The arrogant and the evil ones are contrasted with the righteous who live by faith. Verse 5 continues, the arrogant man. He's greedy. The text reveals that he conquers the nations and collects all the peoples. Here's this prosperous, arrogant, evil man. And when Habakkuk looks at him, we see our third reason for why living by faith can be challenging, because the evil prosper. And yet we're told to live by faith. Well, take heart as you struggle to live by faith. In verses 6 through 11, God begins to pronounce judgment. And he reminds us to take heart, first of all, because justice will be served. Woe to him who heaps up what is not his own. Pledges. He gathers up the money from his debtors. Because they have plundered many nations, they will be plundered. Justice will be served. So live by faith. God is not ignoring the evil around us. Justice will be served. Verse 12 and following, woe to him who builds a town with blood and a city on iniquity. Why did they do that? Well, they were heaping up glory to themselves. Verse 16, you will have your fill of shame instead of glory. That's what they were after. They were building up a name for themselves. Glory. Utter shame will come upon your glory. That's what they were after, and yet what is God saying is going to be the reality? The earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord. So justice will be served, and glory, true glory, will be revealed as God makes all things right. And then we come to the end of chapter 2. And we see that we should take heart. We should live by faith, because justice will be served, because glory will be revealed, and because worship will be given. Let all the earth keep silence before the Lord who is in his holy temple. God will be worshiped one day. And what will happen is that all the false religions, all the idolatry of the world will be proved false. It will be shown to be folly. Woe to him who makes his idols and worships it. Instead, true worship will be given. So no more idolatry, no more false religion. The Lord will be revealed as holy, and he will be worshiped. And you can see that in Philippians 2 as that text unfolds, with every tongue confessing that Jesus Christ is Lord. So 2 questions for application as we wrap up Habakkuk chapter 2. Number 1, are you trusting God? Are you trusting God? And that's an easy question to answer with yes, because it sounds like the right answer. And so a second question for you. If you're answering yes, are you trusting God? Then I would ask you, with what? And this second question, with What are you trusting God? You should be able to fill in the blanks today with my parenting, with my managing the budget, with potty training, with relationships, with the extended family, with the conflict I have at work, with the debt that I cannot seem to repay. Start filling in the blanks and committing your stresses and your worries to God. Pray, God, I can't fix this. Fill in the blank. God, I can't fix this. I need to trust you. And if you need help with that kind of prayer, read Habakkuk chapter 3, verses 17 and 18, and Habakkuk will teach you that prayer so that you can truly say, I am trusting God, and here's what I'm trusting him with. Grace and peace to you as you live by faith today.